Nolan Wells' closest friends from childhood remembered the kind, easygoing young man who was supposed to head back to Southwest Mississippi Community College in Summit on Monday to practice for the upcoming football season. They couldn't believe he was gone. Wells had a tight circle of friends raised with him in Ocean Springs. He was a calming influence. If an argument broke out when the kids were younger, Wells was likely the one to break it up. He was friendly to everyone and usually wore a smile, his friends said. That is from the Biloxi Sun-Herald. Hi, my name is Suri Crowe, and you are watching the MeidasTouch Network. Easygoing, mild-mannered, a multi-sport gifted athlete. Quote, he could spark up a whole room. Again, according to the Biloxi Sun-Herald, that is how two of Nolan Xavier Wells' best friends described the 18-year-old. Both of them spoke with him the last day that the teen was alive, and one of them, Javon Williams, was actually on the barrier island known as Horn Island, which sits about 10 miles off of the Mississippi mainland. Horn Island is where groups of young people headed off on the 4th of July in boats to hang out, party, and play. Nolan was aboard a boat with 3 of his other friends shown here, but he never came home.
Hey, good morning, Robin. The 4th of July celebration turned to tragedy for the family of Nolan Wells, and now they're hoping authorities will be able to pinpoint what exactly happened to him.
This morning, the desperate search for answers in Mississippi after the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells, authorities recovering a body believed to be the teen. Investigators and volunteers from the Cajun Navy spent the weekend urgently searching for Wells after he vanished from Horn Island on July 4th.
Nolan Wells was on a boat. He left from a private dock area in the Ocean Springs area and proceeded with his friends to Horn Island.
Wells was visiting the barrier island 10 miles from the Gulf Coast, boating with friends, last seen about 3 p.m. Saturday.
They left and went back without Nolan. From what we understand, he chose to stay there.
Later that night, when he didn't return home, his mother reporting him missing to police, then quickly taking to social media, posting pictures of the teen, pleading for help finding him. The heartbreaking discovery made about 8:45 Monday morning when authorities say the Mississippi Community College wide receiver's suspected body was found in the water just off the shore. His mother writing, "His father, our family, friends, and I are absolutely devastated," describing Wells as a sweet son who was always willing to cheer and uplift others. Now, investigators say they suspect he drowned, but they're still interviewing friends who were with him as they work to pinpoint what exactly happened.
He chose to stay there on a remote island with no water, shelter, phone, or help, alone. According to his best friends Trace Carter and Javon Williams, pictured here, Nolan did know how to swim, but the currents at the western tip of the island are reportedly very strong, and that's where investigators found him. So Nolan's death has gone viral on socials, due largely in part to his mom, Christine Wansley, who hit socials as hard as she possibly could as soon as she couldn't find her son last Saturday. His parents did recover his phone, which came back on the same boat with the 3 white friends he left with, who told deputies that they thought Nolan left with some girl he met on Horn Island that day. Now, people are having a hard time getting their minds around why the boys would leave Nolan behind, but take his phone with them. His friend Javon confirmed that Nolan was seen chatting with the girl on the island that day. He saw him, but that girl, Katie McCormick, has now come forward to Nolan's parents and is cooperating with investigators and said she had only met him that day and that she eventually left with her own family and figured that Nolan left with his own crew, according to reports. Here are some comments from social media. Joshua Dyron says, desperately hoping Mississippi gets Nolan Wells' case right. I'm so tired of black grief with no justice. Joey Anna says, I do not believe for 1 second that Nolan Wells went off with a girl and that's why they left him. In fact, I refuse to believe anything they say, especially now that I know that they came back with his fucking phone. Chasing Oz writes, those boys knew they could get away with leaving that boy behind on that island because they've never been held accountable. One kid's mother is a local judge. Another kid's dad is law enforcement in Mississippi. Disgusting. Mariah Lynn Joe writes, I hate that Nolan Wells believed he was amongst friends. I hate that at some point he realized he wasn't, and I hate that he died alone. Rest in power. We'll keep saying your name. It's true that his entire crew of at least the white boys pictured on his social media and the 3 boys he left with on the boat have shut their social media accounts down to private. I personally checked. One of the kids' stepmom is a judge, and one of the other kids' parents is reportedly a cop. So make of that what you will. There's a lot more to some of that story, particularly about the mom who's a judge. But I do find it odd that they all went radio silent, have lawyered up, and then told Nolan's parents that they have no idea where he was or what happened to him. But they left with his phone that came back on the boat with them. There's also a video that some believe is Nolan and those boys arguing. Here's civil and criminal litigator Thelma Anderson talk about what his so-called friends have been up to.
And let me post the last post one of them made pertaining to Nolan. This is what Jax posted yesterday. Don't post my son if you won't post up at the police station to give an accurate account of what happened. Don't post my child if you are not cooperating with law enforcement. Because then you're playing in my face. You want to post my child, but you don't want to post up to give an accurate account of what happened to my child. Same go for you, Eric. You want to post my child and say you will see him soon, but you don't want to post up and tell the police how you going to see him soon. You know you weren't going to see him soon. You know something happened to him. Don't post him if you're not going to post up, pull up, give a statement, give an accurate account, and blow the whistle on what the hell happened. Because everything outside of that is bullshit. See you soon. See you soon. How? Y'all had his phone. He could not call for help. No underage or no teenager or no new adult is going to leave their phone. They are attached to their phone. Oh, I got something else. Listen, we got your back, Nolan. We ain't letting this slide. Not on our ancestors, not on your parents, not on your family, not on your life. Your internet virtual aunties and uncles gonna show out for you because we be damned. So let me tell you another individual that I didn't mention that they're going to need. They're going to need a social media person to go and pull every fucking thing. They're going to need more than one to have eyes and ears. Because what y'all don't know, they get on these social media apps and they post this shit and they think it's not discoverable. But as I say, anything you say, post, and receive can and will be used against you in a court of law. This did not have to happen.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's got a very Murdoch feeling to it. If you know the whole Murdoch story, after Paul Murdoch, who was a teenager at the time, was drunk driving the Murdoch boat that killed 19-year-old Mallory Beach. But instead of all white teens aboard a boat, now we've got 3 white boys and 1 black kid. Did race weigh in here? It's pretty hard to think that it didn't. Here's author and scholar Jamar Tisby.
Nolan Wells went missing on Saturday, the 4th of July, off the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. His lifeless body was found on Monday. We don't know all the facts. We don't know all the details. What we do know is Nolan was the only black person amid a group of young white men. They went out together, but Nolan did not come back with them. Online, of course, there is speculation and outrage. How is it that the only black person in this group doesn't come back with the group and ends up dead? Because we know this story. This is not the first time things like this have happened to us. And it is a chilling and tragic reminder that even though we get access to certain places and certain groups, it doesn't mean we're safe there. All grace and mercy to Nolan Wells' family in this moment, in this season of grief.
Look, lynchings are still happening in America. We do not know what happened here. It's an ongoing investigation. But what I do know, because I looked into this, is that Mississippi leads the South in the number of MDLs, modern day lynchings. According to the Crimson Record, which tracks lynchings in a 7-state region, unsurprisingly, that would be the South, and according to their data, Mississippi MDLs have steadily increased since 2021 with a record number of MDLs in 2024. We also know that white supremacists were marching around the nation's capital this 4th of July. We also know that Donald Trump is an avowed white supremacist with a Supreme Court that seems to be hell-bent on carrying out his white nationalist agenda, with a top advisor in the White House in the form of Stephen Miller, who wants a white America. So racists are now openly waving their flags in our faces. Mississippi also has the longest pattern of misclassified MDLs and subpar investigations, according to the Crimson Report, due in part to low job skill requirements to be a coroner. In Mississippi, one need only to have a high school diploma or equivalent, a high school diploma or a GED to determine how somebody died, which is why, in my opinion, only medical examiners should ever make cause of death determinations, because they are MDs, doctors, they're scientists. Coroners in these bohick towns making death determinations, to me, is crazy insane. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office says that the Nolan Wells case is still an active investigation, and the sheriff told the AP that his friends are cooperating with investigators and that they, quote, assumed Nolan was going to get right back with someone else. The sheriff's office is asking people with firsthand information only to contact them. Video, audio, photos, firsthand witness accounts. That does not mean stuff that you've picked up on social media, like reposts. And Nolan's family has now retained famed civil rights attorney Ben Crump. Autopsy results are pending as of this report. I know that far too often Black justice isn't something that happens for families in America. I truly hope that Nolan's family gets the answers that they deserve. Peace out to them.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.